In this video, we'll discuss how hollowed temples relate to a desire for altered states, what full temples mean, and how to naturally change your temples for the better. Enjoy. Hey everybody. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about the temples. This is an area of the face that I haven't really touched on much in my videos, but the temples very specifically relate to altered states. So this was apparently one of the features on my face that my teacher Lillian really liked. So I have pretty full temples. So the way you can kind of gauge this area is usually by tactile contact. You can also see it visually. Sometimes people's temples will protrude a bit. We're not talking big bulges. If you see a big bulge, go to the hospital. But fleshiness, if we see some kind of plumpness in this area, right at the temples, you can feel it when you bite down. So if you clench your jaw, you'll feel these muscles activate. So we'll talk about a couple of the key components about the temples, what this means in relation to altered states. So the big one is, the basic idea, the basic metric is that the more full this is, the more present you are with your day-to-day activities. And if it's full, you're a person that doesn't need a ton of altered states. So where this shows up kind of pathologically is in that heroin chic look. People that are substance abusers or that are very addictive in their tendencies, this area will often be hollow. Now, I have seen people that have a hollowed area here, but they're not substance addicted. They're not abusing substances per se. But what I have seen is that they're consumptive in some other way. So they have an emotional pattern where they're constantly taking and taking and taking, either from themselves or from others, sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously. But oftentimes what you'll see is when the temples are hollow, when they're deficient, when they sink in, this is a person who is really craving desiring for altered states. And usually that takes the form of drugs, alcohol, something like that. So we want to think this area right here, when you chew, okay, when you bite down on something, you'll feel these muscles activate. So I personally think there's also a relationship to chewing. It's to food, to taking in sustenance. A lot of times there's a relationship between substance abuse and lack of the stomach energy or the earth energy. So if a person is not eating much and they're drinking more than they should or doing drugs more than they should, this area will get hollow. And I think there's also a relationship to someone who is not consistently taking in quality nutrition and chewing their food. So you'll see a fullness. People that eat consistently and have a good relationship with food, they're grounded. And this is very central to Eastern culture and Chinese medicine. At the center of the 5-element wheel is the earth element. And when we see that at the center, what that means is everything is based off of how well are you nourishing yourself. So if these muscles are weak here, typically there's a relationship between not taking in quality sustenance. And then you'll see the hollowing here, and definitely through the use of drugs, the earth element, the muscles, the flesh will be wasted. So this is why we see sort of these deficiency looking syndromes or deficiency patterns in the face. There's a hollowing when that sustenance is not being put into the body and the body is not filling appropriately. So the thing to remember again is fullness means sort of presence in life. You're really enjoying what you're doing. You're present for the meal. You're present for your friends. You take the time to sit down and enjoy what's going on around you. That's usually the loosest connection and the most foundational that you'll see with this area. But really pay attention to people's faces. Look at the temples. Notice people that are hollowed out. Do they eat well? Are they present for things? And are they overly consuming emotional habits or substances in their life? So that's a baseline thing to think about regarding the temples. If you have questions, please post them below. And as always, thanks for your time.